There's been a lot of interest now in trying to track clipping volume and growth rates, green speed, and just collect more data to help make agronomic decisions. And that's really great from GreenKeeper too, because we are trying to build more advanced models. And the more data that we can have in GreenKeeper, the better the models we can build for you. We imagine a day when you are entering in your clipping volume, maybe green speed, soil moisture, and Greenkeeper, through the power of artificial intelligence, can sit there and take those data and build hyper-local growth and pest models and plant performance models. So that when you need to go make an application of, say, a fertilizer or growth regulator, that it tells you, this is the rate you should use to try to maximize your and maintain your ideal growth rate. Or it looks at the weather forecast and says you need to put down this many minutes of irrigation tomorrow to be able to avoid wilting by 4 p.m. the next day. That is where we're going with this. And so in order for us to build those models, we need people to start using and entering in their data now. So what I'm going to show is how we can do this with Performance Tracker. So the first thing we're going to do when you log in is you're going to go to Add Data, and we're going to focus mainly on that today in this first video. It's going to come to here where it says Select Area Performance Profile. One of the comments that we heard from people over and over was, if I'm going to collect data, the same greens, the same way, every single day, I don't want to have to go in there and set the same stuff. So what we did is we made these performance profiles. So right now there's nothing there. So let's go make a profile to show you an example of what I mean. So let's say this is a daily greens data collection. That's the name of our profile. Okay, where are we going to do this on? We're going to do this on our greens area. And then we're going to think, what is it we're planning on measuring? So let's say every day we're going to go out and someone's going to go mow, and they're going to do clipping volume, and we're going to do that in either quarts or liters. Then we're going to do maybe some soil moisture measurements, add that. And then we're going to do green speed, all right? And you can add all kinds of attributes. We have turf grass quality, and we can add that. There's no unit on that. I'll explain that in a second. We have soil temperature, soil firmness, canopy temperature, turf color, and then some different vegetative indices like DGCI or NDVI or NDRE. You can add different values. We can even make specific values to your course. So if there's something that you measure that's not on this list, simply email it to us and we can add it to this list for you. If you want to reorder them, so maybe you want to do turf grass quality right after you do clipping volume, and then you're going to measure green speed and then measure soil moisture, you can do that. Then the next part is to set the holes that you're going to be managing. And so maybe you're going to measure on the first green, and then you're going to hop over the next green you'd mow would be number 4. And then maybe the next green you'd mow and do data on would be number 9. And then maybe you're going to go number 15, and then finally number 18. And so you can just figure out what the order is. Again, if you can reorder them. And then you can also set a default user if you'd like. You don't have to. And then when you're done, you push Save Profile. So it's just warning us that we want to make sure we have the area sizes for those holes, and we do. So we are in good shape. So now we are actually going to the day-to-day of adding data to your golf course. You would just say, this is your daily greens collection. And then here are all of the, get rid of my camera here. Here are all of my holes. So if I'm going in and I'm measuring clipping volume, say I had 5 quarts from number 1, then it does the math on me. So it got 5 quarts. Number 1 must be 5,000 square feet. So it's 1 quart per 1,000 square feet. And again, that's pretty equivalent to 1 liter per 100 square meters. If you would have picked liters, it would display that value in liters per 100 square meters. And then let's say we got 6 quarts from number 9, and that one's growing a little bit slower. And then we had 8 quarts from number 4, so that one's growing a little faster. Then we had 7 quarts from number 15. And so as you're going along, you can just add these values. You could do it one hole at a time. So say you're number 1 and you have 5 quarts. The turf quality is what you set. Generally a value of 5 we say is minimally acceptable. Anything less than that is bad. 1 would be like dead. 9 would be perfect. So maybe you think, number 7 is good. And again, the more data that we can store in GreenKeeper, the more the system will start learning your course. And it shouldn't be like a real big brother thing. It's going to be using advanced algorithms that the computer deals with, not anybody else, and makes the model for you. So it says, okay, what was the weather like? What was the fertility like? What was the traffic levels like? All that information that gets brought into it resulted in a turf quality of 7. So now it can start giving you guidance as to what you should be trying to do to achieve that quality. You can enter your green speed. So say this green was rolling 10 feet, 3 inches, and the soil moisture was 9%. I can save that row individually. If I need to edit it, I can, or I can save it again with these blue buttons. If I want to add any notes, I can. So I can add any notes about any specific thing, like the clipping yield looked like this, the quality, whatever. We can add all those different notes. And if you decide you're not going to collect data from number 1, you can push delete, and then it will just ignore that row for that day. And so you can go through, and we can add all kinds of different values for the different areas. We can enter in our different green speeds, and so maybe this green was rolling 11 even, this green is rolling 10 even, this green is rolling 10 3. And so we just start coming in and adding in all of those values, and maybe our moisture where it was 10 and 12 and 8 and 10. And then we can save them individually, or we can just push save all. And now finally on our home page, for the view, we start to see a graph of the last 2 weeks. And so we can look at what the average was. So our green speed today averaged 10 feet, 5 inches with a minimum of 10 feet, a maximum of 11 feet from 6 different measurements. The soil moisture is averaging 9.8, and our clipping volume was averaging 1.0 quarts per 1,000 square feet. You might say, these values are pretty different, so you can always then delete things like surface firmness, or you can delete the clipping volume so that it stays, in the range that you want to see. So the top bar shows everything. If you want to look at just clipping volume by itself, you can do that, and just by coming in here and just deleting anything else, and now you just have your clipping volumes there. And again, as the days go on, this is going to show you where you're at. Another thing we can do is add a bounds. So say your soil moisture value, we're going to put clipping volume back in. So let's put it back in on this top one. So say our clipping volume, we want it to be somewhere around 1 to 1.4. I can click the little gear down here at the bottom, and now it draws a little bounds to know how well I'm doing. So you can see I'm more zoomed in below because I just have the clipping volume here. Up above, I have a bunch of different measurements. Maybe our soil moisture, click the gear and say the minimum I want is 8, the maximum I'd like to have is 15, and now that bounds gets drawn. And so we start storing those bounds, and then that will show bounds. And say for green speed, the same thing. I can have a minimum of maybe I want it above 10 and a maximum of 11. That's my desired range. And so we can see how well we're doing as we log more and more information. Finally, too, if you want to see individual holes, you can add them individually. And so we can, I'm trying to remember which ones we collected data on now. We can start looking at the individual hole performance, and we can always edit those values over here on the right side. So that's one way we can visualize, and we are continuing to improve this feature. One of the things that we're building into it right now is the ability to have 7-day moving averages for these values, and then also from clipping volume to predict how much fertilizer we've been removing year to date, some good summary metrics. And so that's a big priority for us to get ready for 2021, and it'll be part of this page.